Not consistently.
The highest degree of concern would be, is this the first piece of evidence that playoff Jimmy might not be what we once thought it was? Because last time we saw it was 2 years ago, and that was a year he was 24 a game instead of 17 a game. So regular season Jimmy was a different player than, and so there is that piece of it. But the other, to me, and this is going to sound mean, and I don't mean it to, but I'm just being honest with the audience. My emotion was not surprise. It was happiness. Jimmy Butler did not deserve to have a great game and stick it to Miami. I won, you lost. Jimmy Butler screwed the Heat. Jimmy Butler is allowed to be this way. It's fine. And you guys know, people that watch this show, I have, really prayed at the altar of playoff Jimmy and believing in the Heat, and even when they're the 8 seed. Right. I talked about how if they had pulled off the championship, was it against the Nuggets? It would have had to have been against the Nuggets. Like, put his resume next to Harden if he won the title. And it's all of that is true. This is also true. He was awful in his exit there. It was everything people justifiably hate about pro sports at times, and he did not deserve to get the last laugh. And everyone, I think, thinks and that he is, well, he's going to get the last laugh anyway because he's on a contender. Maybe he is. Or maybe the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors this year will win the exact same amount of rounds in the playoffs. 0. And maybe it will end up being that a place that he had was finally, as an NBA nomad, a fan base that loved him and, protected him's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, advocated for him, whatever, has turned on him justifiably. And the Warriors, he's not a Warrior. I mean, he is, but it's not like that's, when Warrior fans are like, who are our guys, right? Yep. And so I found myself last night really rooting for the Heat. And I know that sounds spiteful and mean. I really, really didn't like how he napalmed an entire season for a franchise when they, in my opinion, had done nothing wrong.
Okay. But that has nothing to do with anything. Nothing. We're talking about the Golden State Warriors, Jimmy Butler, Steph, etc. What they can do. This isn't, a whole thing about how Jimmy Butler handled this and that. I'm happy. He doesn't deserve to get the last laugh or whatever. And it's like, huh? What are we talking about here? Seriously. What are we talking about here? And is this the beginning of the end to show you that playoff Jimmy won't be that good? No, because Steph Curry didn't play. This team, this offense, the Golden State Warriors are a completely different team when Steph is there. Completely. That's just a reality. They're obviously going to live and die by Steph. The way they win is through Steph. It's not a trade-off. It's not, sometimes Steph will be one, sometimes... No, it's through Steph. So it only matters how Jimmy plays when Steph is there. Was it a little bit surprising that Jimmy couldn't have, balled out more against the Heat because he would want to? For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's fine and obvious. But sometimes it happens. And they were clearly cold, the Golden State Warriors, and Miami Heat were clearly hot. They were making everything, and the Golden State Warriors were missing everything. I mean, seriously, it was just they could not hit a three, and the Dolphins and the Heat couldn't miss a three. They couldn't miss. So, that's just basketball. That's just the way it goes. That's why you play 82 games here. It's a lot of games. A lot of games. So, yeah. But to, turn this loss into a whole referendum on Jimmy Butler and what he deserves or what he doesn't deserve. I mean, oh my gosh. That continues to be the problem with the NBA. that continues to be the problem with the NBA. It's just everything but basketball. All the things that we talk about, it's just everything but basketball. Like LeBron James in the middle of the season, went on what was it, Pat McAfee or whatever. I didn't even watch, but it was like he's like, Giannis would have scored, 250 points in the 70s or whatever the heck he said. And it's just like, oh yeah, and that's the thing that people are discussing. Like that's the conversation, like rather than like about like the games that are happening, the winding down of the season, about to enter into the playoffs. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just all of the takes end up being so much less about the games themselves. Like even when the Warriors lose here, it's like, let's talk about Jimmy Butler's character. And we don't do that in football, really. Occasionally you do, of course, especially if it's like a big personality player. But like when Caleb Williams, for instance, struggled in the beginning of the season with the Chicago Bears, people were talking about like, oh, why is this not working? Should he have never been drafted number 1? Like we were talking about like football. We weren't saying he deserves it. He deserves to not have a good season. He was crying in his mama's lap and he paints his nails and this and that. Like that wasn't the conversation. It was about football. Look at Jaden Daniels. Look at the success that he's having. Why isn't Caleb having that success? It was like real conversations. This is anything but that. And in a lot of ways, this is what JJ Redick was talking about before. And I actually called out what JJ Redick said when he was talking about people want to, talk about other stuff rather than like the actual X's and O's. And I get it, but there's a way to kind of do both. There's a way to still talk about the games and not get too technical, because that is not what a lot of people just want to casually listen to and watch, because there are so many basketball games and you can only break down so many like actual games themselves. And so you still do want to just talk about the season as a whole, the players, etc. But it can't just be essentially what I always consider it to be, essentially like the Kardashian aspect of basketball, where it's just like everything else but that. It becomes more of a reality TV show. Oh, did you see what Jimmy Butler said? Did you hear what LeBron James said? Oh my, can you believe he said that? Look at the outfit that he's wearing. Oh, look at Jimmy Butler's outfit. Oh, look at the shoes that Steph's wearing, before pregame. Like it becomes everything but ball. And it just gets muddled and it becomes less interesting. And so, my take for all of this, my actual, basketball take, because that's what I care about right now. We could talk about Jimmy Butler's personality and, did he do the Miami Heat wrong and, all of that other stuff. We could do that later. Honestly, we could do that at another time. I just don't think at this point of the season, it's like those are the conversations that are worth having right now, honestly, to be real. And I just think, from a basketball perspective, is this performance surprising? Yeah, a little bit. You would think that he would want to really go all out, have a 30-point night, 10 plus rebounds, just really getting after it. He obviously was unable to do that. This was obviously also not the Warriors team that he's normally going to be playing with. He didn't have his partner, his Steph. You can't rely on Jimmy Butler at this point to be the leader of this team, or to be able to kind of like take over in any given moment. It's just not who Jimmy Butler is right now. So I don't find that necessarily surprising. I don't think it's an indicator of what you can rely on him in the playoffs, especially because you're going to consider Steph Curry to be there. And so I think it's, a lot more cut and dry than that, quite frankly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors. Are you surprised by all of this, and do you have any concerns about this potentially being a predictor of what the playoffs will look like for the Warriors? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.